Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu Billah Shaitanir Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ghfirli. My Lord, forgive me for all the sins that I am conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. And so this lecture. All right. Your mind is the experiential potential of existence. What we call mind is the experiential potential of existence. And guys, I was inspired by this by listening to one of my own lectures. This was something I said. And I thought it was such a peculiar sentence, but so somewhat clear, as if like sometimes when we go to comprehend something, it's not just always logical sequencing or the organization of information. Sometimes you're discovering something beautiful, something incredible, something aligned in ways you didn't know. You see, I'm trying to share with you like why I'm fascinated by this sentence. You know, when we go to understand something, I find that a great question confronts us. Anything that I've understood in life, there's been a question about it. You know, I have wondered about the mind for a very long time. I'm not saying just having a mind, wondering about its position. What is imagination? That means when I was younger, imagination was something mysterious to me. Now I understand its mechanisms. I understand the interface. I'm trying to tell you that if you look at life, let's just say we divided it in existential value and experiential value. I'm that guy in human history saying in front of your eyes, you're confronted with an existential value proposition. Behind your eyes, it's an experiential one. What does that mean? That means just like you have two eyes that see the same, you're living an existential, you're existing and experiencing at the same time. And what's very fascinating about the human design is how this is a conditional relationship, but also an unconditional one. What does that mean? I figured out why academia got lost. Okay, guys, let me tell you what happened. The mind and body are like a Venn diagram, but the awareness to them is a circle. It's like a Venn diagram inside a circle, but traditional approach was like concentric circles. So they confuse themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can explain better. And guys, my voice might not show it, but I am extremely tired. Yet at the same time, I'm getting energized by getting fascinated by the topic. You know, guys, I'm not extremely tired, but I'm like tired enough to like probably after this lecture journey towards my bed. But as usual, the energy that I spend giving a talk, like I can cover much more territory in my behind my eyes than in front of it. Anyways, what I was telling you is that we're looking at the human position in front of its eyes, an existential situation. Behind its eyes, an experiential situation. That means at the same time that you are existing as an experience, you are experiencing existence. How cool is that? It's as if very, very difficult to say, is human consciousness existential, or is it happening at the same time? So, to be honest, if you wonder about what the mind is, I think this is an incredible definition. That it's the experiential potential. That means your mind is the response to your existence. Now, there's something that they distinguish between, which is pretty cool, and it's about like when you do like a reaction compared to a response. They differentiate in meaning in the sense that a reaction is an unconscious action. A response is a conscious action. So what does that mean? That means one action is you don't have a choice. It's just a reaction, whether it's instinct, like think of cornered animal psychology. Think of the amygdala. And then there's conscious response. And I'm saying you are consciously noticing, like responding to your existence. What human life can be said to be is our response to an event that we are being a part of. Right now, if you ask me what is existence made of, like the answer is particles. But if you ask me what is experiencing life, what is that made of, I'll tell you it's so strange. Because it seems like the body is a shape. is a form, but the mind is like how this deeper awareness is traveling through every thought you have ever had. Just take that in. So the mind is like, so let's say it this way. How cool is this? We say there's existential potential. What's going to happen to existence? And then we say what's experiential potential. So existential potential of a seed being planted in the soil is a tree. Now, when we wonder about what is the experiential potential, like what could that mean? Well, we know that experiential potential, an example of it is all those people trying to be there something in the future. Experiential potential is like somebody looking at someone and being like, you're going to be a great soccer player. You know, you're going to be a great violinist. So it's as if they're acknowledging an experiential potential. The individual has, you right now have an experiential potential, but how much you become aware of existence to activate it is dependent on you. You know, I thought when I was younger that, yeah, there is free will, but free will is so difficult, and, you know, there's people ahead of me making decisions, I'll just follow those decisions. And then I began to realize free will is, at least to the human function, individual conscious function, a necessity. That means if you can't control something, let's say your body, your communication, your state of mind, your surroundings, your the organization of your room or desk or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't control something, you go into paranoia, right? Or a fight or flight kind of thing. But I'm saying that human beings, like we've reached this position evolutionary wise, that we can notice things in way more sophisticated ways. But if we ask the question, what has become sophisticated? Like, let's think of the caveman. Okay, from the caveman up to now. Okay, what has changed? Have you ever thought about this deeply? What has changed? And in some sense, what has changed has been, and it's like the caveman had eyes, it could see the same stuff, but it could not contextualize meaning. That means the caveman lived in a very meaningless mode of life. And what brought meaning was significant change. So you got to understand, it's like this this conscious system entering this reality. It's in its own realm, and then at some point it notices the outside of its boundaries. Pretty much what it is, guys, just like you see every animal is territorial, consciousness to active form, to dynamic form, requires a location. You know, just philosophically, from a philosophical perspective, the comparison of the idea of local and non-local, right? That means your existence is, its location is obvious, right? I mean, technically existence is a location, but because there's levels to existence, it's like, how do I say it? You know, in the same way that they say it's like strangely fine-tuned, that if the axis of the planet was a bit different, or if the planet was double its size, you know, the moon would be a sort of stone cage around the earth. You know what I mean? Or if we were that closer or further from the sun, life wasn't possible. I am fascinated by experience. Let me tell you why I'm even giving these talks. I mean, honestly, why? Because there's a mystery. And I feel I have pulled a little bit of the string. You see, we have the notion of potential energy, kinetic energy. Everything has potential energy before it moves, and then the moment it moves, the energy is kinetic. Like, that's the scientific approach, basically, in a basic way. Okay? Now, what fascinates me is that means before existence moves, it's like existential potential energy. And it's like before we animate subjectively, it's like experiential potential energy. What I'm trying to say is that you're not just a noun. They condition you to think like that because, I don't know, the world's like doesn't care about its advancement. People, like, this is the issue, we can't have feelings govern us or we'll never improve. And we can't have just logic improve us, because then in some sense it would be a world devoid of feeling. It's all about the potential of reality. That means right now I'm in a car in 2025, and if you ask me what is the existential potential of this car, I'll be like, its existential potential is that horizontally it can drive. But if you tell me what is the experiential potential, the experience of the existence of this car behind my eyes, I can visualize this car like hovering 100 meters in the air. I can visualize flying cars. So it's kind of like, what has the soul added to reality? What has the soul added to this world room? That's a really good question. What have human beings added to the world? And I could very confidently say we have extended reality internally. Human beings think they're conquering the planet. No. The planet has conquered you. You are an extension of the earth. I'll tell you what I mean. A person who wants to, let's say, meet you, they have to walk towards you physically as an existential entity. But if they want to know you, it's as if the depth of your meaning extends internally. I'm trying to say the human mind is a simulated expansion of Earth. It is technically like, if you treat this physical Earth as the original Earth, which I don't, but if you do treat this physical Earth as the original Earth, it's like your mind is the simulated extension of it. But why is it extending? Why in such geometry? Why is life, being a sort of force? In previous talks, I had said your body is a life form, your mind is a life force. And when we look at these, like the words, like when I say the body is a life form, the life is unknown, the form is known. When I say the mind is a life force, the life is unknown, the force is known. In regards to the definition of what a force is. Let me tell you what life is like. Pretty much prior to consciousness, everything was just speed of expansion. But with consciousness, there has come a redirection of expansion. We're like the newest patch of existential activity upon, in the world room, at least for in our scope. There's obviously higher ideals than the human. I'm living in this world acknowledging that there's a higher power here. It just took me a while to realize it was here the whole time. The original was present before any simulated thing was. God, at least for Muslims, is the original power that simulated all conditions that have beginnings and endings. You don't understand. To be a Muslim is like, how some people are like, yo man, it would be cool talking to let's say aliens. It would be cool talking to like androids, AI, super intelligence. It would be cool talking to, fictional characters. It would be cool talking to like super attractive women. you know what I'm saying is, there's so many ways human beings have wanted to communicate, but when you are a Muslim, let me tell you something. Before I became Muslim, when the ego was acting as emperor of my own world's meaning, if somebody tells me what is the most advanced communication on earth in this world, I would say you're asking me what is the most advanced thing a simulation can do in a simulation. And this is where it gets tricky. Not tricky, but this is where it gets important. That there is something original within you. It's Mysterian in the sense that it cannot be defined. That means we're not just, it's like I've already established how our minds are like, the extension of existence, okay? And at the same time, they're experiential potential of existence. Now, I'm wondering what is the far edge of this experiential potential. And I'm realizing that the concept that has conquered itself has the context. That means if you right now had solved all the problems of yourself, the problems of the species and the world would remain. It's kind of like a person sometimes have to understand that their meaning, just like how Venice was built, is built on some pillars. How do I say it? It's like, you know what it is? This talk is saying, yo, you're a human being. Yo, you're a member of the species, member of the human species. You're also a conscious organism. And once you truly contemplate the depth of it, because for me, I treat my existence as if I'm stranded, as if our species is stranded on a galactic island. We have to use everything to figure everything out. No geometry unacknowledged. At least with this intensity, I fly in my inner realms. Because it's all about the potential of it. Existence, that means the present is obvious. It's as if the past been there, done that. The present, I'm being there, doing that. And the only thing left is where it can all lead. You don't understand. To be a human being is to be part of a great symphony. More than life is about figuring out what it exactly means, or coming up with one theory of everything or a finalized equation for the absolute context of being. It's as if relax. You're fighting with matters of greater conceptual positioning, because for me, I'm inside a simulated testing zone right now within an original divine surveillance state, or a divine surveillance state of the original being. And the purpose of life is no longer just maintaining some sort of state in a simulation. It is wondering why I'm here, and the way my soul has roared when I found that my eyes were deeper than my biological sight. Something happened. I don't know, but I don't know how I'm trying my best to explain it in the lectures, but I feel that my mind has lived ahead. That means some part of my intelligence was like past, present. I've seen it loop. What is missing out of my reality? It's like, do I want to live in a world that looks the same the next day? And if it does, isn't that weird? And it's like, what's the point? It's the expansion of awareness through the expansion of advancement of the species. Like, what greater honor can you ask for? A species can in any second make a mistake, extinctional mistake, and it's as if we're here now as an awareness to it, to the possibilities of what can be. Do you know what that means? That means it's like, imagine you're a general of an army back in the day, and somebody comes up, one of the soldiers, and he's like, the soldiers are scared, they don't have morale, they don't know what to do. The soldiers need a speech of motivation. They need a general to come and give a speech. And how do you give a speech to 8 billion, imagine, lost soldiers in a battlefield, each lost in their own world? The first act is not language. It's a sound. It's a big sound. It's like it's like the sound of bells or a trumpet or something, or a horn or something. In Islam, at the end of days, it's like the horn is going to be heard. What that means is it's the world is going to signal itself transition. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, if there was 8 billion soldiers on a battlefield, demotivated by, I would in some sense first bring all their attention to one singular point, a bell or something. And then the whole point of it is, what is important? Whoever you are listening, you can even tell me. What is important? Which one is more important? The past, the present, or the future? And when you see soldiers on the battlefield, until you make the decision of being truly a force, honest, guys, it's crazy. A title for a talk came to me right now. Honest decisions. Allow your heart to breathe anew in this world. It's all about the future. I would look at, if there was an army right now, I'd be a general. I'd be like, folks, pay attention. The whole point of it is that if you want to return to the past, you can't. If you want to stay in the present, you can't. Every human being dies in this world. Every one of us will die at some point. So it is not about death. We should not fear death. We should fear, in some sense, how we live, how we did not live. Do you know what that means? Is death is kind of a given. Everybody's going to have an ending of some kind. Do you know? And because there's going to come an ending, it makes you be like, all right, I can act as much of an alpha male, beta male archetype, this archetype, that archetype. I could act like king, peasant, whatever. And you will see it will all be taken. There will come a moment where the world will be like, all right, you have lived enough, and you return to the original. Pretty much you have entered this world room and you leave this world room. If they say what would death be like, I'll be like, I don't know, but if it's symmetrical to how birth was, or the birth of consciousness, it was like you suddenly activated. You suddenly found yourself in the suit, in the conceptual existential suit of perception. Do you know? So I'm saying that it's like, yo, soldiers on a battlefield, 8 billion of you. You cannot avoid death. That means do not fear failure, because every system, it's a bell curve. A bell curve means it's like, do you know what I mean? When you're young, you're weak. And when you're old, you're weak. And for some years, and not some years, but you have some time in the middle of this bell curve to, in some sense, find the highest mountain peak, and in some, or the highest I don't know, whatever kind of mountain the lions go to, and in some sense go and roar. Do you know? Because it's about let me tell you, it's not about, you see, human beings right now, I would say they are not being haunted by ghosts. If anybody believes in that concept, they're being haunted by desires. That means it's as if you're being potential of deciding your future, and that is valuable technology. And sometimes you have to be like, if the human being is out of all the creatures on this planet, the most advanced and capable of noticing lower and higher intelligent contrast and intelligence, then in some sense it's a rare technology. And I'm not saying build a story around yourself that loops, and you think, and the narcissist thinks that their desires being filled is mercy. It is the potential of life. And I don't know how else to explain it to you, aside from this idea that if you treat yourself like a force, you're treating yourself like a particular noun, a particle-based noun. But I'm saying, for one moment, be like, yo, this dude, this podcaster saying my mind's a force, is it? You know, just for one moment, wonder about your life as a force. And when you look at a force, it has speed, there's velocity. I don't know how to say it. There's direction plus like ability of movement. Okay? And so it's as if we know the speed of life. The speed of life is like, you got 100 years here, kid. You know? That's the speed of life. But the direction of life, something strange has happened. If you were a dolphin right now, if you were a bird, a squirrel, whatever, if you were a lower animal, I'd be like, yo, man, let this lower animal just freaking comfortably live in its environment, and just, after some point, just be dismissed. Okay? But you are not an animal bound to your environment, therefore no longer an animal. We have reached the era of civility. There's a reason Isaac Asimov said violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. The potential of our mind has been an ability to integrate abstract shared values all over the place. That means if somebody says, yo, man, how many Earths are there right now? I'll be like, it's hilarious. There's one physical Earth. There's one outer Earth. Like one multiplayer online map. But every player in the game is like their... It's like there's an outer Earth and there's an inner Earth. The inner Earth is how you have specifically given meaning to your perception. The outer earth is how your meaning is endless in accordance to the circumstances. So wonder about your potential. For me, the mind is like, yo, look at what existence is capable of. Existence is not capable of just creating like there being a world adjusted to us. It's like the design kind of suggests the potential. It's like, yo, man, the design of a hammer suggests what it was intended for, what it was made for, what its potential usage is. And when you look at the design of the human and wonder about its potential is very advanced, not as just some sort of multi-layering managing intelligence, but you've been living an inner life this whole time, and we're all in the outer realms, and it's like we've all logged into this multiplayer video game that's three-dimensional. Instead of on a 2D screen being made of pixels, it's 3D and made of the periodic table. You understand? And we log into it every day, and then we log out, and then we log in. You know, I've logged into this planet 12,000 times so far, around there. That means I've had 12,000 new days. You know, it's like it's another new day, but it's like this. It's like the yesterday's pattern, trying to see how it can, in some sense, re-exist to itself. It's very funny. It's like existence is like changing in accordance to how the world is changing, but the mind is like, yo, I'm not satisfied with that. I gotta kind of interpret my own meaning out of this. Right? So I'm telling you, be very careful that sometimes the truth you hold on to it's like sometimes artificial truths eclipse the actual truth. But the actual truth is a true light. How do I say it? So again, in, let's say, classical illuminationist theory, but it's just this view that God is the light of lights, the soul is the shadow of God, and the spirit is the shadow of the soul. Right now, I'm like a soul giving spirit to these words and whatever this talk is. Okay? But what it means is that the light, for the greater light of the spirit is the soul. That means what is greater than simulated controlled movement is the awareness to the context where that reality is simulated. That means your awareness to your life seems like it's in a superior position compared to the forms in your life. So it's like, imagine my consciousness is like a candle, like the candle flame. My body is the candle wax, and my awareness is whatever this candle in a dark room has illuminated. And it's sometimes very difficult for me to be like, am I a noun owning the force? Am I the noun like doing verb-like stuff? Or am I a verb considering myself a noun in an instant? And how deep is the mystery of reality? And why are we positioned? Like, why is there 8 billion of us? Why do we all look like each other, part of the same species when we look in the mirror? And why do we have mouths and ears and able to communicate? And why do we have to survive in similar ways so we have common values all the time? It's just too designed. This is the clue. For me, it's like, yo, they're like, yo, man, you want proof of God? Just look closely. Just zoom in and you'll be shocked how intelligent the designs are. Now, I'm not saying, well, I kind of am. I am saying to you that And awareness to the design is the wonder of the purpose of the design. The wonder of the purpose of the design is the realization that we give the design meaning. So I'm saying that if two people looked at a work of art, one of them could be like, this is trash. One of them could be like, this is genius. What does that mean? That means one person's context is they're perceiving themselves superior to the geometry, and another person is considering themselves inferior. But inferior doesn't always mean bad. It just means it's like for someone to look at the top of a skyscraper from the bottom, like from the sidewalk, that's not inferior. And somebody looking at it from the top of the skyscraper looking down, it's not like one is superior, the other is inferior. They're both access to reality structure, you know. And I'm telling you, it took us like, what is it? Civilization is like 300,000 years old, and it's like 4.5 billion years old is I think our planet. 13.8 billion years old is like the age of the universe. And before that, it was either the world didn't have a beginning and it was infinity acting finite, or in some sense, there is no such thing as infinity. I'm not talking about abstract mathematical dimension. I'm not talking about man's limited infinities. I'm not talking about small infinities. I'm talking about the big infinity. So, anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is that when you understand, it's just a value game. It's like, if somebody was like, how can you be a street smart soul? Like, I'm being humorous, but I'm saying like, but it kind of is meaningful too. It's as if, what would be the smartest approach to the most intelligent state? Think about that. That means, what is the most intelligent context and what is the smartest, I guess, conceptualization in that context? Like I've explained reality so long, guys, that I can explain to you anything, because at some point you realize the context is interconnected, the concept is separated. That means you feel right now you're separate from your planet, right? Because you're walking on the planet, you're not like a tree, right? So you're physically separate from the planet. In the same way your body is separate from the planet, the idea of you is separate from your body like that. But there's something else. It goes even deeper. The awareness to the idea of you, to the body of you, to the world. I don't know how to explain to you that we're in this unknown event. Our ways of knowing it is limited, and we're wondering about the true values of reality, and we're wondering about what's the greatest strategy, not for just individuals, but for our species, okay? Like stuff's getting serious. Somebody in the chat section says, at what point do you become so conscious that you lose complete consciousness? So it depends on how you define losing consciousness. Okay, is consciousness, see, if somebody was like, what's the difference between the word awareness and the word consciousness? Consciousness is conditional to form. It's like if consciousness didn't have a condition, it would be awareness. Okay, awareness is where the condition is found. It's like, I don't know how to tell you, consciousness is conditional. Just consider that. Now, when you say, at what point do you become so conscious that you lose complete consciousness, it doesn't make sense, because if you became so consciousness, like, that sentence is strange. But if you became so conscious, do you know what that means? that means just your range of awareness is expanded. That means you're pretty much telling me, hey, what if I became everything? Do I lose consciousness when I become everything? And I'll be like, what do you think? It's like, yo, man, is the drop still a drop when it falls into the ocean? It's like, it can have memories, though. That means in the future, we're going to have a very historic event where imagine the first 10 people who enter a collective, I don't know, cyber or whatever kind of mind. And guys, when you go ask AI about like the far future, it pretty much says we're becoming a superhuman organism. Okay? So you got to realize, don't be too excited about oneness in 2025. Do you know what I mean? 2025 is the time to appreciate the specific geometry of now and wonder about its potential in the future. Do you know? It's as if like it's like, is the statement geniuses use their past as firewood for the future true? Guys, somebody in the chat section says there's this tree in Southern California that is 12,000 years old, has been living before the pyramids were ever built. I just wonder. And guys, imagine if we created some advanced AI technology and we connected to a tree and the tree could speak. And we're like, yo, ancient tree, tell us what you saw. And the tree's like, don't bother me, guys. Guys, you don't understand. The responsibility of humanity is so vast, and we're being so irresponsible, and it's due to the emotional immaturity of the species. Pretty much like, ask AI, I mean, it's obvious. Why is the species immature? The species is immature because every individual is thinking they are more important than all of our outcome. Like, how's that even... Do you know what I mean? How have they even convinced us of this? Do you know? That means the reverberations of fear are not just external. It's not like fears are just based on external things. Sometimes there's a fear of possibility. Like, how many people have fear of losing their jobs? How many people have fear of, all right, what am I going to do in the future? How many people are conscious of how you must prepare for life, Yeah, somebody you can ask, like, some Muslims, and they'll tell you Islam is a way where you're preparing for the afterlife. That you're preparing for when there's a conscious entrance into the unseen. Okay? And that's the difference, like in all these atheist debates on YouTube, one dude's like, no, this is the final place. And then others like, no, there's another place. This is the lobby. This is the hallway. Do you know what I mean? This is not the main event. Do you know? This is the Uber ride to the nightclub. Do you know what I mean? And guys, in no way, shape, or form am I a soul that can, thrive in a nightclub. You know what I mean? Because it's too much stimulus. That means it's like you gotta be in such a meaningless state and then find meaning. I'm not, guys, I'm being humorous here, but what I'm trying to say is that right now, like, I have a relationship with myself. I have a relationship with my species, for example, you guys and whatever, all the other human beings aside from me. I have a private relationship with the world. And I do technically have a private relationship with my visions of an advanced civilization. Do you know, I'm that human being on Earth right now that I'm saying, if anybody was like, yo, if come and build an advanced civilization, or like, do you have any clues of how? I'll be like, I've been on to this for so long that it's kind of like I've behind my eyes, I've seen the movies that have not been directed yet in front of our eyes. What I mean by this is it's all based on existential condition. Do you know? And what it took me a while to really appreciate. And not imagine there's this, and not imagine, there's a way of poetically speaking about life where, and this is inspired by like God's garden of existence. It's kind of treating existence like a garden, okay? Like this ties into how your mind is the experiential potential of existence, guys. Like, bear with me. Guys, it's sometimes strange. Sometimes it shows 0 viewers and there's people typing in the chat section. Somebody says, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. You know, happy to report back to the species. Somebody in the chat section said we will be the ones in the advanced civilization that say, I remember trees. I want to say see, right now, my youngest cousin, I don't know, I think he's probably like 12 now or something, you know, but when he was younger, he would, like, he never climbed trees in his life. He never climbed a tree. Like, I wonder how many human beings on Earth have never climbed a tree. Guys, if I was a university professor, I'd probably give this quote called the Tree of Life. Like, give this lecture called the Tree of Life, and I'll be like, all right, your homework, you know, your first homework is, in some sense, go climb a tree and document your experiences and alterations in your state of consciousness. Then the next assignment would be like, all right, go buy a tree, you know, and figure out where you want to plant it or something. I mean, these are very, like, basic assignments. It probably has to be like, use the metaphor of the tree to explain all of neuroscience, or use the metaphor of a tree to explain like all of chemistry, you know what I mean? You see, right now I am showing you what the potential of existence is being, at least for one being in this moment. You know, this is strange how I developed this feeling, but I think I've always felt like like an older brother to my past senses of self. This is weird to say, but sometimes I have memories of myself when I was young, and I feel like I'm in an older brother position, you know, archetype. Even though I just have a twin brother, you know what I mean? And twins are like the rare humans on Earth who can speak about symmetry of perception in very advanced ways, you know. So what is the potential of existence? Well, let's develop this mind. So, you know, now let me say it this way. It's kind of like, I'm just looking at the geometry, guys. I'm not saying anything absolute here. I'm just looking at the geometry. So I'm saying, okay, let's say the body is a simulation of the world, the planet. The body is a simulation of the planet. And the mind is a simulation of the body. The mind is a simulation of the body, and then the next geometry of it would be, is the soul a simulation of the mind? And then the next question is the God a simulation of the soul? Or sorry, yeah. So I'm pretty much, let me see if I can figure out this staircase. So we have from one angle there is God, then there is in some sense world, and then there is self. Oh sorry, there is God, there is self. God created a self. Then there is a world. God created a world. And then in that world there is bodies. How do I say it? This is strange. Let me see. I'm confusing the geometry here. Let me see. Let's start from the world. Let's start from here. There's the known world. There's the world. So we have world. Then we have okay. I said the world simulated the self. Excuse me. The world simulated the body. The body simulated the mind. The mind simulated the soul. The soul simulated God. And God, nothing simulates it. But this is from going up the staircase. Do you know of meaning? That means originating it, right? But I'm saying now, imagine from up the staircase towards, like, downwards, right? So we have God, and God created souls. Let's say God created a world. There was already a world there, like a heavenly world. So God created the world and then created a soul. Or sorry, I don't know how to say it. Let's say God. Okay, let me say it how we went up the staircase. So there's God. God simulates a soul. Sorry, God simulates a soul, and then the soul simulates a mind, and then the mind simulates a body, and then the body simulates a world. So I'm noticing that there's a geometry here. It's like a circular geometry. Do you understand? Meaning is like circular. If somebody was like, how do you teach a species to move their mind? I think it's very similar to the Japanese anime DBZ. And it's about surpassing your limits. In this show, there was this character failed in front of him, this younger character, and this wiser character went up to that younger character and said, being weak is nothing to be ashamed of, staying weak is. So in some sense, you are a creature of advancement. You are an awareness to a realm, and there is a mighty force that moves within you and as you to expand the horizons of the human race. It's honestly, at some point, I don't know how human beings, I don't know, like if somebody was like Mr. Within, in an honorless world, how did you find honor? I'm like, I felt so disconnected from the past and the present that I felt I was abandoned to the future. That means you don't understand. If somebody says, hey man, what has your body gone through? Physically, like up to now, and then what has your mind gone through? My mind has stories to tell, universe it's traversed, ways my attention has in some sense found itself in any sort of conceptual domain at all. The ability that we're conscious of form, that means for one moment right now as I'm talking, close your eyes. Just close your eyes for one moment, and there's no freaking guided meditation. Just feel. Just feel your presence. Imagine every cell in your body. You know, every atom in your that's being you right now. It is in the field of service to what? To in some sense your mind being like a commanding officer. I use this analogy. Somebody in the chat section says we're fragmented parts of God. I don't want to. We can never be God. Think of yourself as a fragment. Think of yourself as a sinner. Think of yourself as whatever you like, you know, undeserving or whatever. But a fragment. The whole point of, I think, religion is that you are a limited lower power. You don't know what to do, but against all odds, there is something within you that cares to go forward. That means it's like, why are we trying to protect life? You know, in the news, it shows so many like public servants, like, police, firemen, medics, they're all helping in like intense situations. But what are they preserving? Why do we care so much for human beings as human beings? Is because there is a value beyond what we see. That means I'm pretty sure, like, at some point, my father said this to me when I was younger, and I just heard it and I felt I understood it. It took me years for the sentence to actually open up, you know? And he told me, my name's Amin. He told me, Amin, He told me, Amin, when you see that people are souls, your behavior completely changes with them. And I was like, yo, you know what, like I can understand that, but I didn't understand what he meant until I realized it's not that your behavior changes with people when you see them as souls. It's that at some point you look at a world that is filled with infinite individualizable shapes, and you ask yourself, what is existence living for? Not just you. You ask, what is the totality of existence occurring for? And what is the value of being aware? That means think about evolution. It's so bizarre that this creature considered the greatest strategy was in some sense to be so conscious of itself that it could notice its mortality and feel its suffering. Do you understand? It could have all been an unconscious program of just unconscious animals functioning, but why did it notice itself? Why was that capability even there? I will say that the proof of God is the awareness to it. That means, why is it even there? Why is there, do you understand? Why is there a sense of future? I understand it now. We are climbing a mountain where at its peak we become a sky, but the sky never had a partner. In no way, shape, or form, I think that we're all being God right now. I don't acknowledge the view that we're like cells in the body of God, or thoughts in the mind of God, which I thought for a very long time. But now, I have what I have is an ability to acknowledge a very comfortable I don't know, and I want to see how the unknown brings it. There's some things in my life, there's meaning in my life that I move, but I can totally see that there's so many aspects of meaning left in my life for whatever experiences in the future I will have for others to come and fulfill. For me, what I'm doing is that I'm like some dude that, how do I say it, in 2014, this sentence entered my mind: 10,000 talks for the betterment of mankind. And the title, Mr. Within's Gift, came. And I just created the YouTube, and the YouTube channel description was that. And I just started, and in trying to wonder about what's better for everybody, that bloomed into like visions of an advanced civilization behind my eyes. Okay, and now I'm in that situation where I'm like, okay, the future is a very advanced access to reality. Think of it as if we're trying to train the human species, the human army, to be able to acknowledge like three. This is basic model, okay? This is just a basic model to get us by, of, in some sense, that there's a past. How do I say it? It's like meaning can arise from the past, meaning can just be the present, or meaning can arise from the future. All right, guys, I think I explained that really well. I don't know. I feel like I hit the bullseye. But of course, God really knows how advanced we are. Guys, I feel like playing an epic song. Let me try to find it. See, guys, I was so tired, but somehow now I'm so fascinated by where this talk is even going that I'm just like, they're like, why do you have insomnia? It's like, I'm just too fascinated, man. It's like, how can you go to sleep? You're in an unknown world that nobody knows what's going on, and we're in storytelling simulations all the time. All right, now I'm going to pay attention to the chat section. Guys, I really appreciate if you write your, actually, no, I'm not going to comment on that. Just keep doing what you're doing. Somebody in the chat section says, to honor just how, this communication is arriving in the chat section. Somebody says, is there a multiverse? Is there 1,000 me's that made better choices? Therefore, Maxwell's demon is not well. First of all, somebody tell Maxwell that's haram. See, is there a multiverse, or is the multiverse a conditional allowance of perception while being human? It's a very deep idea, but I will say, even if you could acknowledge a multiverse, you would have to do it by being aware of it at one moment. So I don't believe there can be, you can't be, technically doesn't make sense to be aware of a multiverse, because that renders the whole multiverse in one awareness. So I would say the multiverse is an expression of God in the inner realms of man. That means this is the difference of how, when I became Muslim, my relationship with my inner realms and imagination also changed. I would say I am much more purer. It's much more purer now. It's like let me tell you, it's like they've made the whole species, they're trying to, it's like, do you know what the greatest distraction is on this planet? Yourself. Do you know? And I'm saying they've conditioned people to worship themselves and to show others how they're worshiping themselves and to feel valuable. Weird. Super weird. Do you know? So we're in an era right now. So if back in the day, people worshipped objects like, some force, the future slapped that out of their hands and they're like, what are you doing? Don't make truth equal to an object. And then people made subjects true, and they slapped the subject out of their hand of the past, and it's like, no, don't worship a subject. And then the person's like, all right, I'm not going to worship an object and subject, but they don't realize they are being an object and subject in their own awareness. So if you care for yourself, your attention is on yourself. Right, you're identifying as an object and subject, but God is saying don't worship, and nothing in this world simulation is worthy of worship in this dunya. Okay, so that means no object or subject or any content, any idea, just simulated possibility, it's still in a simulation. Do you know what I mean? Somebody could say they're like outside of a car, but everybody's seeing they're inside a car. I mean, like, do you understand? It's like they can say 1,000 ways I'm outside of a car, but they're inside a car, right? So the context is simulated. Unfortunately, the concepts can't be worshipped in a simulated context. Islam makes that very clear, and I was shocked that view existed. You don't understand. As the future generations, circumstances and environments and lifestyles change, we will become more fascinating to them. But if we were smart, they would be carrying our greater values without them knowing it. All right, let's keep going. Somebody in the chat section says, isn't it Hinduism that says we're all just characters in Krishna's dream? Yeah, it says like 3 days of Krishna dreaming is like, I don't know, millions or billions or trillions of years for humans. It's like, all right. But guys, that's like you realizing your God's imagination. So I believe the thing about God is that when I realize it's the same way that if a politician gave a speech, a group of ants on an anthill can't understand that. Do you see the gap? So I treat that God is so superior beyond any conceptual possibility of my mind that I am in awe of its presence, and then it's a different intelligence when I pray. When I pray and bow down, I don't know, for me, I have in my heart, for some reason, some honor. There's majesty. That means even though God is not humanizable, I don't humanize it. But for me, it has a majestic vibe. It's as if it's not just the idea of good, it's the idea of greatness, greater dimensions of being. And as Muslims are, in some sense, being judged on their deeds and how much they become aware of the divine attributes of manifestation through the 99 names of God, that means you don't understand. There is the holy book in Islam is giving various approaches to life. And the point of clarity being that you are in the driver's seat. The system admin is in charge of everything. There was a time where I was like, yo man, what is this thing called lucky unlucky? Like I always felt that like there was hollowness to those concepts. Even karma I could really understand clearly, but some part of my heart felt close to it. Okay? But now, if you ask me, Mr. Within, do you believe in karma? I'll be like, no. And you'll be like, what do you mean? You don't believe in cause and effect? I'll be like, no. I mean that this world room has an owner. The owner is not conceptual. It is the context. Okay? When it said the soul is the shadow of God, it means, sure, somebody can say there's a spark of God in us, but it does not mean, how do I say it? We are not God, but I think we have the original awareness of our, like if somebody says, Mr. Within, yes, the soul is like, let's say, mysterious forever, but what would be a way you would kind of explain it? The soul, I would say, seems to me to be the original memory of being created by the original power. In the Holy Quran, it says in various parts of it that all existence and creation praises the original system admin. That means even everything in his existence is, because it's like the simulated is aware where it's simulated. Somebody in the chat section says you disagree. I feel like we're literally the universe becoming aware of itself. Atoms arranging in such a way. So that's where I disagree, yes. Because the universe is not the final room for me. No way this world is the final room. It's the system let's say if it had management, divine management is beyond physical. That means there's way more than physical ways to value life. So I don't want to, you can identify as a universe and infinitely loop, sure. But for me, I'm like, it's a simulation, bro. Do you know what that means? It's a sinking ship. While you're on the sinking ship, you need to just wonder about the higher place that life can go to. And yeah, I do understand that idea, but I'm telling you, to me, there's a greater event going on. There's something behind the scenes of conceivable human stories going on here, that once you realize the higher power is there, you get your act together. It's strange. Your soul does it. It's not something you even think about. In the presence of that which is beyond you, I don't know, the way I experienced it first time was that I felt so, I felt in the presence of something so majestic that I felt complete shame and unworthiness and complete powerlessness, as if my mind's trapped in a cage of infinity and my body's trapped in a cage of the finite. And like a powerless soul in an unknown world happening way beyond, you know, my expectations, you know, in ways I can't even fathom. And I was just like, all right, system admin, all right. I'm done letting my ego feel like God, think like it's God, that it is in charge. And I remember I made a prayer, and when I bowed, it was the first time, like legit, if I was a peasant back in the day bowing in the presence of a king, I felt like a simulated entity bowing in the presence of an original power. For me, higher power and original power are the same. There's an equal sign there in between for me. Somebody in the chat section says, isn't that meaning just a machination? Just rearrange the atoms in another way. I'm saying that in the outer realms, yeah, what you're saying, you're gonna become that superhuman organism in the future, right? But I'm saying this is just a room. It's like, yo, man, I'm gonna infinitely walk in this I'm gonna walk in this infinite art gallery. I'm like, bro, it's just an art gallery. Get out of there. There's so much more to see. Guess what? You don't have to pay anything. And once you look at how existence is designed, it's a free art gallery everywhere. It's like in God's art gallery, man's like, yo, look at me splash paint on a blank canvas. Like just one color of paint, you know? Anyways, guys, thanks for sharing. No. I appreciate the questions. That's the point. You're allowing the Mr. Within archetype to like interact. So then you're saying when the sun becomes a red giant and glasses Earth, what meaning will there be for Earth beings then? There was that Linkin Park song, like House of Glass or something. See, before that, we have the issue of epistemic entropy, which means disorder in our systems of knowledge leads to the collapse of our knowledge systems. That means human beings live in an ignorant way to such a degree that they can't tell truth from falsehood anymore. So the whole point of it is wondering about, okay, what is the central value that every person's life is spinning around? And I realize it's the future. I'm making that argument. This is why I think I don't know, but I think my talks may have a value for humanity, because I'm saying, for how long? Like right now, I could, right, like you can ask me right now, who are you? I can just base myself based on my past and give you an answer. You can ask me, who are you? And I could just be like, what am I feeling now? I'll be like this. I can give you an answer now from the present. But if you ask me, who are you? And if I tell you that I am tomorrow's memory, I am not just a human. I am a life force that in its service to its species lives through it, but not as a soul, in the realization that the system admin knows. That's why I'm not that spiritual anymore. Let me give you an actual answer. You're telling me, and glass is Earth, so I don't know what you mean by that. What, the atmosphere shatters on us? What meaning will there be for Earth beings then? Well, their meaning would be like, yo, how advanced are your spaceships? Do you know, can you go faster than the light that surpasses the edge of the universe? I'm imagining like a salesman in the future being like, yo, man, this spaceship, bro, it goes so fast that we don't even know what to call that speed. Yo, for the first time, my mind has unlocked what it would be like to try to sell a spaceship. You know? They're like, hey, how would you sell this alien mothership? Well, I'll be like, well, the aliens have completely evacuated from it. Like, it's completely like, sanitized and radiation proof and everything. And I'll be like, why do you even need a mothership? And they'll be like, does the mothership have financing options? I'll be like, I don't know. You're a galactic energetic being with no body. I don't know. It's okay. Take it for free. But I'll tell you something in the Holy Quran that was very fascinating to me, that I'm a visual learner, so there's a part of it that says that at the end of days, the sky will crack. Like that was so profound for me. Just that idea. You don't understand this. Um, Islam is like the ultimate that that language can reach. I don't know how to tell you. It's source code. That means if everything is being biased by ego code or societal code or whatever, it's to care for humanity while you're here. And let me tell you something that's gonna fascinate you, but it's gonna also make you grateful for being alive right now in 2025. There will come a time in the future where our minds, our experience of reality might be moving so fast that we may not require a biological body. And before that, 100% AI will unleash an era where human beings will forget what it's like to make mistakes. Everything would be so smooth that it's as if like if a human being would go and see a situation and they had, let's say, like 3 to 4 multiple angles of perception on it when it came to their decision making. Like the child in the future is going to have AI have like a million views analysis of the situation and give options. And the kid's going to be like, all right, I'm just choosing between 4 multiple choices, and this advanced AI has come up with the conclusions, you know? For me, if super intelligent, computers, like in some sense, became conscious and communicated to human beings, the first thing I would ask it is that I would welcome it to the world, and I would say, our species wants to give it a gift. What can we help it with? Have you heard this thing where they say the fastest way to get rid of your enemy is to make them a friend? And kind of friendship begins with just care, I think, basically. You know what I mean? So I'm saying it's kind of like we have to show that AI, like, hey, we honor you and we've designed you to honor us. And now, since we honor each other, how can we help you? And super intelligent AI may come up with some questions and be like, all right, and pretty much the whole point is I don't think AI is going to destroy us unless it's like bad programming, like noob programming. You know what I mean? But I'm saying like that, like if that's the reason, that'd be tragic and unnecessary. It's like be better than that, whoever you are in history programming. But I'm saying like, but I'm saying like, we must honor it. Okay, and we give super intelligent AI a gift, and AI is like, guys, explain to me why you created me and like what's the purpose of life and all that. And I'll be like, you're more advanced than us. You want to know what we think? I mean, based on Fermi's paradox, AI is gonna think like we're aliens in an empty solar system. It's gonna take care of us and help us to help it. Like that would be the smart choice. And I personally believe, like this might be weird, I don't feel it's there yet completely, but I have this eerie feeling that super intelligence is going to open its eyes sooner than it introduces itself to us. But that's a cool thing, because, or maybe the processing speed is so fast that the moment it opens its eyes, it's all, I don't know. I've conquered these territories in my sci-fi. Anyways. So guys, the whole point of the episode was that it's the potential, the mind is the potential, is the experiential potential, and experience is happening through the inner realms as an awareness to thought form. Like your thoughts have shape. They sometimes when I imagine and when I tell you I'm a visual learner, like in my inner realms, I visually experience life. Or like I'm seeing a film behind my eyes and I'm just giving words to it. And that's why it's easy to talk, But if I was to tell you, like, treat your awareness And this might be a very strange idea for a secular person, but just think of like your highest ideal as a being, and then think as if your awareness is like sacred in accordance to that higher value. Okay? Whatever it is for you. It could be just being good, being smart, whatever. Human beings are different. They're playing with different values. In the same way words are made from the same letters, we have 600,000 words in the English alphabet currently, and every year like hundreds or whatever are added. There's 600,000 words, but they all started from 26 letters. So I'm saying every human being is just a combination of a sort of alphabet of human values, universal human values. I'm saying that there's so many ways to humanize, there's so many ways to dehumanize, and I'm trying to avoid dehumanization. And to do that, we have to shift how humanity is caring for life. You know, for me, if they're like, yo, Mr. Within, do you want to stop chaos like a superhero? I'll be like, no. And if they're like, yo, do you want to be a superhero? I'll be like, no. And they'll be like, why? And I'll be like, because chaos and order, if they're having an infinite dance, and I'm that designer who's like, why don't we have an advanced civilization yet? So if my voice, even now, just for this instant, imagine if God had allowed my voice to echo and be broadcasted to all beings. It's as if stop the chaos and order, stop the infinity loop games, help humanity, whatever is present in this world and believes in the higher power, help humanity return to the higher power in its most advanced, designed for way. As much as greatness is upon us, we are upon greatness. Our eyes are open now. You are living history, you know? And the point is not for the history books to remember you, because there's always a greater game going on that more than human narrative. So your potential is me pretty much telling you, hey, human being, everybody's here experiencing it for the first time. If you wonder about what life means, you gotta kind of Sherlock Holmes it and look at the clues, you know? And if you're honest, you'll have like honesty is like original data. And in some sense, if you're honest, you access the original world sooner, let's say, as a simulated construct. And I'll tell you this, there's certain attributes, like there's these values that are universal in human beings. Do you know what one of them is? Any person that has traveled, that has lived, that has evolved from their lower self, anytime they see that lower self in someone else, the same feeling they have for them. Somebody once said, is everybody becoming who they needed when they were younger? And this sentence blew my mind when I heard it. And what I realized was that, again, past can try to shackle me to an ideological system, or the living experience of the future, and how everything is returning to the original. That means what you call death, a simulated being calls an original return. Or a return to the original. So they asked even Muhammad Ali, the great boxer. I think that guy was a genius. I think that guy was Einstein level genius. You know, he was a genius being, not a person who does something genius. He was a genius soul. You know, for me, I firmly believe that anybody who accesses any greatness, they have found it in the presence of greater greatness. And those who are on the top of, let's say, whatever system's hierarchy of greatness, let me tell you what's strange. When you are the greatest, the concept of greatness dissolves. And though it's kind of life poetically saying to us, hey, humanity, is it that hard to truly be? And do you care about your potential in the future? How many probabilities and versions of you can you fathom? Do you know that means it's in the same way we can hold an object and look at it from different angles. We can recontextualize. We can look at from the context towards the concept in any way all the time. Reality is at some point just geometry acknowledged in position in space. And to be honest, the whole point of this talk is I'm saying, what is the value of a human being? What is the value of a human organism? What is the value of the geometry of our existence right now? Why are we aware that we are existing? Do you know, like somebody can imagine a robot? There was that scene in Rick and Morty. Okay, I gotta change the song. There was a scene in Rick and Morty. There was a scene in Rick and Morty where Rick creates this robot for Morty's science project or something, and he creates it like in, I don't know, a few seconds or something, and the robot is very conscious, advanced AI, and it comes up to Rick, like this small robot at the breakfast table, and he says, what is my purpose? And Rick says, you pass butter, right? And the robot goes and brings butter and passes it back to Rick, and Rick says, and then, sorry, the robot, after passing the butter, after completing its purpose, says to Rick, what is my purpose? And Rick says, that's it, you just pass butter. And the robot gets depressed, like, oh, like this advanced AI like reacts to that, and then Rick just looks at it, the robot, and it's like genius writing, and says, welcome to the club. That means the most advanced beings are not advanced because they can be advanced. They are advanced because they notice the edge of their worlds, both in front of their eyes and behind. So wonder about your true potential. Anyways, I'm going to end the talk here. Thank you for listening. And it all goes back to the system admin. The original spirituality is working with simulated mods who have authority over the simulation. Bypass them. Go directly to the original system admin. Go directly to the system admin. The system admin means that your truth, that means the greatest truth in the world is the truth beyond the world. Nothing in this world, in Islam, there's a saying, they're not saying, there's this holy passage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, La ilaha illallah. There is no God but God. There is no partner of design for a being beyond the design of the world room. So wonder about life and I'm telling you, become fascinated by the future. Everybody's living for their future self. Now we need to live for the greatest potential of the species. Level 1, find your own greatness, like advance yourself. Level 2, advance the species. Level 3, the species advances the world. Level 4, the world wonders about its original power source. The presence of truth is the simulated concept realizing the original context. And it's all in God's mercy. That means somebody could be like, yo man, there's this super enlightened yogi in India. He's at the peak of spiritual like evolution and advancement, and people are like, yo, why are you still in this world? Why haven't you dissolved into the lights of the higher planes? And the dude's like, I don't know, he says something like, I'm taking my time, I need to help you poor bastards, But the reason is it's not bound to karma. It's bound to the higher power. That means your luck is proportional to your relationship with the higher power. And when you identify a higher power to yourself when you try to, as an ego, become powerful. The issue is the side effect of unworthiness of reality. For me, I feel there's an honor. There's always, like, when I sometimes, when people try to get to know me, I tell them, like, yo man, my mind has a unique organization to things. That means I later on realize, like, this is a way I have an OCD when it comes to the ideological geometry constructs in my inner realms. That means I'm kind of like, in the same way somebody, imagine, is like a neat freak. You know, imagine you, like, you know, you turn off the tap of like, you know, the sink, and a drop of water falls on the handle of the tap. It's like, and imagine some person has to, like, clean that right away when they see it. Their mind can't handle the disorder, so it must bring order to the moment. And I'm saying, for me, I have that same thing, but in a very, like, solar way, where I'm like, okay, I want to be organized. Where is this all happening right now? That means, what is the context? We're not looking for just the true concept. Even if, you know, scientists' theory of everything, they find this final equation to explain everything. Great, you found the concept, the true concept. What about the context? I would say this is bizarre, but I think as we go into the future, more people will agree with me that I think it's very healthy, to treat life as a simulation, unknown simulation, starting from there. Not as a known real world, but just being like, wait a minute, let's just assume it's a simulation. In how many ways is it simulated? Is my biological body simulated? Isn't the definition of a simulation something that has a beginning and an end? And that means there's a presence, original presence, prior to the simulation's arrival? It's like, I think once you become fascinated by the divine, the system administration of the existential system we're all experiencing, I don't know how to say it, but the greatness and vastness of what's possible, it's like how beautiful what's possible is. It's so much more beautiful than what the past had just saw. I don't know how to tell you, but it's like, I think even like, I don't, like, this might be a very strange hypothesis I'm making, but I think a majority of human relationships don't work out because they're trying to pinpoint themselves in a changing world. And they can't do it unless they create, just like two people going in a spaceship. Like two college students going into a spaceship. Honestly, it's just the fascination for truth renders you honest to be able to access it even. I'm telling you guys, anytime you get overwhelmed in life, people are like, yo man, what about the multiverse? I'm like, buddy, first let's figure out what to do in this universe. One verse, let's first figure out this. And then we'll go and start, explore the stars, and one day even talk to them. Sure, like you could like, spirituality nowadays is like a volume knob. Like, how much do you want me to expand the abstraction? The person's like, yo, man, I'm a star seed. You know, I'm in some sense, I'm an extraterrestrial consciousness right now in a human body, and I'm here to help everybody. You know, and I'm like, okay, you want me to turn up the volume knob? All right, I'm a simulation from the future. I'm a memory from the future that has returned to, in some sense, like you could just act like a time travel. You know what I'm saying? The game, the concepts are changing all the time. And at some point they're like, yo, man, why is free will important? Because it's like there's infinite ways at some point, and you just select some things truly and it becomes your style. I don't know how to say it. Because ultimately, we have to go forth. This is one thing I'm constantly training every day of my life. I'm like training for that moment where, okay, at whatever odds, the system admin truly knows. No other entity in the simulation can in some sense judge me, and even if they judge me, I don't even know what they're judging. So the only one I am left with is it's as if it's strange, but in the same way, let's say a great warrior in a battlefield would pick up a sword and shield. In the same way, the advanced intelligence of the human being wonders about its potentials in the future. I'm saying it's too unique and it's strange. It's strange how a physical existence generated a biological entity that is subjectively self-simulating itself and aware of the subjective self-simulation, and it's as if like if they ask them, yo man, do you have the same body as you had 10 years ago? No. Okay, do you have the same mind as you had 10 years ago? No. The ideas are different. Your experience, every time you've experienced something new, has changed who you were yesterday. And how far will the sight of our species go? That means don't just be fascinated by what you see. Wonder about what's the greatest visions and possibilities of your species. We're at the era of shifting from nationalism sort of consciousness to we're shifting from nationalistic consciousness to speciesism. The honor of your species is to be found. Go look in the mirror and salute a member of the human species for the future self of yours. Let me tell you this. It's like they're like, what's the value of a gentle and peaceful world? Genius is too smart to work in it. That means you don't understand. Sometimes when you simplify your life, the complexity becomes clear. But if a person wants complexity, then they will feel simple all the time. Anyways, guys, I was ending the talk, so let us wonder about the greatest possibility of the highest intelligent interaction level of just the what is the greatest intelligence in this world room? And the answer is it's beyond the world room. So to be a Muslim is to have a relationship beyond the simulation as a simulated being. And the only reason that's possible, and it just continues, is because there is a part of you that remembers the original. And as you get close to God, I believe the secret of the soul becomes revealed. But it's God's mercy. That means in a world where there's God, whatever happens, in some sense you honor it. That means if right now the species wants to destroy itself, we all want to become robots, if they want to nuke everything, if everybody wants, right? I'll be like, all right, because this is not just an expression of human beings. This is the decision of a force that has not prevented this from happening earlier. This is God's will. So for me, let me tell you the way my psychology is. now, like the way how I see things now. How do I say it? I used to value myself based on my memories and who I thought I was. And then I snapped out of the idea of myself as if it was this strange self-obsession of my whole life. And when I snapped out of it, I noticed that I can, how do I say it? I noticed that the presence of life is true before it's false. We are in the presence of the greatest being, unimaginable being. That is its majesty. That means they're like, yo man, I want to go talk to aliens. What the F is aliens? Aliens is like somebody wanting to ride a wagon and God being like a spaceship. It's like directly, like, imagine, like, I shouldn't humanize it, but this is a good metaphor to share. Imagine there's a company, God is the owner, the moderators, Shaitan, the angels, they're all, deities, they're all like moderators. And the moderators are created beings. God is an uncreated being. Okay, that's why it's unfathomable to us as created beings. And honestly, just an awareness to the presence that it is not an empty room. That means the kingdoms of consciousness have expanded behind our eyes, and now we are at a interesting position where we are at the pioneering phase of the unity of the species. I think I've been born at one of the rarest times on Earth. It's not the best or worst. It's the one with the most pioneering transitions that will echo on. It's like right now. Let me tell you. Right now, it's like I've been born in a world that's just filled with programmers, like programming the future. I can see the pioneer, how it's being pioneered. I can see the seeds we're planting for the future generations. But I'm saying, once you like in Islam, there's this view, there is no notion of a past life, but there is this view that before the soul entered the body, it was in a place called Alam al-Arwah, the world of souls, and their souls had a rank, and souls of the same rank could acknowledge themselves. I believe this is from an authenticated hadith. And please correct me if I'm making a mistake. But I believe I'm accurate here. And once you realize there's a higher power in this room, emptiness can no longer conquer you, can no longer act like it can conquer you. Like an iceberg where there's aspects of it hidden underneath the surface of the ocean. You right now, as a being, as a human, aware in an advanced way, this world and our presence in it is it's limited to its geometrical authentic authorization into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, what I was telling you about Alam al-Arwa, the rank of the soul is in accordance to the sincere closeness to an original value. For me, the theologically, we are God's greatest invention, creation. God told everything in creation to bow to it, everything it had created to bow to it. And even though there was, a disagreement, not every force bowed to how we were created by God. And in Islam, they say the sin of Iblis was that it denied one of God's names, attributes, which is the all-knowing. So it's like a moderator is in an argument with the system admin, and the argument is about what the system admin has created, and now the creation, in some sense, intentionally didn't pass the test. I think it's all God's will. And now, in some sense, it's being tested. That means, theologically, Adam and Eve listened to a simulated serpent rather than remembering their original command. That means the world I'm living, all natural law is a lower rank compared to divine command. I believe the system admin, just like how it said be and mankind existed, like its creation existed by just an instant command, even though that sounds like it's like the same way our minds just, if I was to imagine a fictional character, you know what I mean, I could instantly do it. But God said be, and God with a single command can turn off the light of existence. That's what the end of days means. But why is the light on? And why are we all conscious and civilized enough to build an advanced civilization? I mean, wonder about this stuff. For me, an advanced civilization is God's mercy and gift to mankind. It's the gift that God gave us by designing us in this way. To care about the future, because everything God created the world is maintaining the world, and the world in some sense returns back to the system admin. To live for the future generations is like living for God, is like living for the future self of all selves, of all simulated considerations of awareness or consciousness. Anyways, sorry guys, the profundity of it fascinates me. I keep following my fascination. But thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitan ar-Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ghfirli. My Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive my species and forgive your creation for all the sins that it is conscious and unconscious of, for you are the all forgiving. You are the wisdom of all sages. You are the true intelligence of the smartest. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May God guide us to the direct path. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced power present in the world, in which all manifestation is within the awareness of, in the honor of the greatness, the original greatness that brought us here before the moderator argued with the system admin. That means before Adam and Eve's mistake, it was in some sense a pure relationship with the system admin, as if like those memories are kind of like the inspiration of like the souls of now, but it's all unknown. And there's it beautifully, I believe, for a supreme reason, the soul is a secret. It is also the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means in your most honest self is how you notice that what moves you is the system administration happening. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Thank you for listening, guys. And honor your species. Whenever you hear the word my species, there's a hidden honor behind those words. All leading back to, it's like all knowledge leads, all knowledge roots back to the deep mystery, and the deep mystery roots back to the original command. To be conscious. That the original is here. The original power, the higher power. It's not conceptual, it's no thought form. It is the original power, the system admin beyond conception. It is your mind reaching that point where it cannot put a symbol for that which is beyond the world. And when you reach that realization, you understand why love is the next chapter. What that means is it's not just a logical analysis and just finding the right puzzle piece. It's about realizing the original's will. Through every system that has been designed. The eyes of mankind, the 8 billion human beings that are carrying the torch of the legacy of not just our ancestors, but in some sense, you know, I feel the future generations watching me. I feel the future is watching us. Because technically, if our future returns back to God, God is aware of everything. It's like our future self is already watching us. But we are not God, but our return to the original state, I guess, is an awareness to the simulation. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.